Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to my quick guide on the Giants Foundry, a brand new smithing minigame released today. The only requirements to access this is 15 smithing and the completion of the Sleeping Giants quest. Some items you're going to need before starting the quest: 3 oak logs, some wool. A ball of wool will not work. You need 10 nails, a hammer, a chisel, and some ice gloves. If you don't have ice gloves, you can get away with using a bucket of water though. To actually start the quest, you need to head to the Giants Plateau, which is found south of the Jewel Arena. Get a Jewelling Ring or teleport to Lumbridge, head south through Alcarria to go to this gate here just behind the Plate Leg store, follow the map around. This is where Clan Wars used to be, if you know where it is. Giants Plateau, head over to this cave down here, just at the southwest, and you'll notice that the Hill Giant has a strike option. Do not attack the Hill Giants, that won't start the quest, but if you strike this Hill Giant, it'll bring up a dialogue, and you can just skip through this and start the quest. The quest itself is very easy and very fast. However, if you are struggling to do the quest, I will leave a link to the wiki quick guide in the description. So click on that, follow the steps, and then you'll get through to the actual minigame itself. And there we go, that is the quest completed. 6,000 smithing XP and access to the Giants Foundry. Perfect. Right, let's start the guide. So to start off with, you want to head over to Korvik, right click, get yourself a new commission. He'll tell you which blade he needs, so you need to make a narrow flat sword. Head over to your mold. We'll start on the forte. You'll notice that anything that relates to the contributes that you need will be highlighted in green. So you want to take the highest total amount that you can get. So I can get 8 and 6 here, which is fantastic. So it's better than anything else there. Go down to the blade, see if there's anything else that does double. There is. So I can get an 8 and an 8. Again, that's by far the best I can get. Tip, and then head down. We can get a narrow and a narrow 8 and a flat 6. So again, it's going to be a really good blade actually, plus 22 on each. It doesn't have to be equal, just go for the maximum amount that you can get. Set the mold and then head over to the bank chest up here. Now, honestly, it's probably best to do something like Mithril and Adamant, 14 of each, or even 28. I don't think 28 rune is actually best. I believe it is better to mix the ore. So far, I've figured out that doing 14 of each bar seems to be pretty good, but for demonstration purposes, I'm just going to use 28 iron, as it'll make the blade a little bit easier whilst I'm going through. So head over, fill the crucible, and you can fill it with whatever bars you have. Like I said, I'm going to be doing iron. These are all the bars that you can use as well. I've heard that apparently Mithril and Adamant are really good to use together if you have a lot of them. So you will not get anything back for this. You'll get a little bit of gold, but you don't get any bars back, so be wary of that. You can also use armor on this. So for example, if I have a lot of rune items, I can just head over to my rune tab and use these. So the way the rune items work, or the items in general work, is you get the same amount of bars you would for smithing them minus 1. So for a plate body, it requires 5 bars to make. So I would get 4 for including it in the crucible. So it's pretty decent, to be fair. It's not too bad. I'm going to go ahead though and pour the crucible now that we have it filled up with molten ore. And then once it's filled into here, you do need some ice gloves or a bucket of water to cool it down before you can pick it up. Now for the interesting part. The blade is always going to start out at full heat. Now you need this. So this bar here is the heat bar, or this is how hot the blade currently is. This is the coolest one, the middle one, and then the hottest one. The top bar here is how good or the quality of the blade. So you always want to keep it at the top. It'll always start out at the top. You always want to keep it at the top as well. So over here we have the lava pool. This heats the blade. You have the top option for heating it slowly and the bottom option for heating it fast. You also have a waterfall over here. This is to cool the blade, so you can do the cool preform, which will do it slowly, and again the quench one, which will do it fast. This just determines how fast or slowly it moves up or down the bar. Then you have the hammering station, you have the grindstone to grind it, and then the polishing station to polish it. So as you can see, my first task is the bottom row here is a list of tasks that you need to do in order to complete the blade. So to start off with, I need to hammer the blade, and it needs to be red in order for me to do that, which it already is, which is perfect. So to head over here, use the hammer, and then we literally just have to wait for this. This will go down as we're using it. So as we're actually hammering, it will cool down the metal. So we need to keep an eye on that. We need to keep this in the red, and we also don't need to go too far over here. So as you can see, also when it goes yellow like that, click on the action you're currently performing, and it will boost up the progress in the taskbar. So it's very, very useful. You are very important. You keep an eye on what you're doing here. And also, if any of these go out of the line, you'll notice that you mess up the blade. I'll try my hardest not to mess the blade up whilst doing this. As you can see there, it was perfect timing. We did manage to actually finish off with the heat and the action at the same time. So now we need the heat to be in the orange or the yellow, and we need to go to the grindstone. Now the grindstone will actually heat up the blade, so what we need to do is go and quench this. We need to make it really, really cold, because like I said, once we start grinding the blade, it's going to heat the blade up. So we don't want to go too low, because if we go too low, we will actually have to go ahead and heat up the blade again. So we'll get it quite low there. The bar will also progressively go down if you're not doing anything. So if you're standing around, the heat will go down on the blade. Once again, we want to grind it. This is the progress bar. This is how hot the bar, or this is how hot the sword currently is. As you see there, we got the orange box around the progress thing. Click on the current action you're doing, it'll give you a little boost, which is fantastic. It really does help speed this up, so make sure you're keeping an eye on it. Again, we're almost in the next section here. Perfect, we are in the next section. So we need to make the we need to make the sword green. So as we're going over here now, we want to make the sword green. Now I already know the polishing wheel cools down the sword as you're using it. So again, you want to make sure when you're polishing, you have it quite high up in the heat, and it will naturally go down. Whilst you're polishing as well, you don't want to make sure it gets too cold, as you will need to go and heat up the bar. But keep an eye on it. As I said, it's not too bad. It's actually pretty quick, and it's actually quite entertaining to do this, or quite engaging. So once it gets down, it's getting a bit low there. We want to go ahead and dunk it in the lava pool. This will heat up the bar once again. It means we can go over and start polishing it. Again, polishing it actually cools it down. So polishing cools, grinding heats it up, and hammering also cools it. So make note of that, as it just makes you, it means you don't need to waste time running between pools to heat up or cool down the sword as you're doing stuff. So again, we need to go ahead now and grind, and that'll be the last thing we need to do. So we actually have to heat up the bar here. But as you remember from previously, the grinding does heat up the bar, so we want to get it nice and low in here. So once it's in, head over to the grindstone, start grinding it. That will heat up the bar, as well as start working on progress towards this. Again, we are coming to the end of this here. We just want to make sure that we don't get the bar too hot. So again, we need to cool it down just before we go and finish off the final part of the grindstone. And then we'll wait for this to be done. And there we go. That is done. You'll have like a little animation once you've finished the blade. And we didn't mess up at all. So the blade is still at 100%, or at least 100% quality for the bars that we used. So the bars that you use actually determine how good the quality of the sword's going to be, as well as how difficult this is. So the higher ore that you use, these bars get smaller, so they'll be tiny on the rune ones. And also there's more actions that you need to complete. So the easier the bars, or the lower level the bars, the easier it is to do. You also need to have the required smithing level to use the correct bars. So 80 for rune, or 85 for rune, sorry, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to go over that again real quick. This is the quality of the bar. If you mess up at all, or if you try and do an action when the bar's not hot enough, or the required temperature, it will knock down the quality. This is the temperature down here. So green obviously is the coolest, amber is the medium, and then red is the hottest it can be. To heat it up, use the pool of lava. To cool it down, use the waterfall. Again, the first options on either of them do the action slowly. Second option does it fast. This hammer icon is the hammering tool. The next icon here is the grinding tool. And then this one here is the polishing tool. And all you need to do is go through, run through, do all of that. Hand in the commission at the end, hand over the sword. You'll get yourself, it'll say what time you completed the sword in, the best completion that you've had, the quality as well of either of those. It'll say what your reward is, and the smithing XP, and the gold, which is actually amazing. So we got 4,500 smithing XP, and that was with a iron sword, which is pretty decent to be honest. And the total swords made in here as well. And then finally, of course, there is a shop where you can spend your reputation. So you can get a double ammo mold, which means you can smith 2 steel bars at once, getting 8 cannonballs at once, which is going to really help out when AFK in cannonballs. You can also get a grog, which just gives you a +4 smithing boost. Smithing catalyst, which means that when you're smithing bars, it requires half the amount of coal. Could be quite useful for some people. The ore packs, you can get 30 noted ores, which can be combined, or a combination of coal, iron, and mithril, adamant, and rune ore. This could be really good just for staying here and you're getting pretty much free ore out of it, because it does require quite a lot of bars and stuff. The smithing outfit itself, which each piece has a 20% chance to increase the speed of smithing action when at an anvil, increasing at 100%. It does combine together, which is pretty good actually, which means smithing will be slightly faster when using an anvil. The Crucible Blade, which is 5,000 points for this, it's only level 60 weapon. However, it does have a special effect where it has a higher max hit based on how large the target is, I believe. But I'm sure someone will do a review on this once they finally get it. And then finally, everything else is for the molds. Now, you can actually go through and just base the molds, so you can show only Forte molds, only Blade molds, and only Tip molds. These are pretty much what you'd expect them to be. They're upgrades for the furnace. You can go ahead, smithing level required to use them. So there is actually smithing level on these, so make sure you check you have the smithing level before purchasing it. So make sure you've got that. And it just says as well, like the type of what it is, it's a Forte, because we've got it listed as showing only Fortes, and it gives you the narrow, light, and flat attributes. And then there's different ones here, so broad, heavy, and flat, and so on and so forth. So broad, heavy, and spiked. 16 spikes on that as well. So these could be incredibly useful when making blades. I would personally say just buy them as and when you need them, but I will probably buy them first, because the higher stats you can get, the better points you get, the better reputation you get as well. So I would say it's probably a 5-head move to buy all these first, but who knows, that could be a terrible advice. But for now, that's what I'm going to go ahead and do. Anyway, if this guide did help you out at all, drop a like, drop a comment on the video, let me know if there's anything I got wrong or anything that you can improve on, or anything you found that was different to what I said in the guide. This is a day one release, so not everything might be accurate, and some things may change. I will leave a link to a blog in the description down below. Any hotfix and stuff like that will be listed in there. As always, though, I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Thank you for watching the video. Take care, and I will see you all soon. And on that note, a final special thank you to my Patreons. I see you guys still supporting me. I know it's been a while since I have uploaded a video. I thought I'd leave this right until the end, though. I do plan on uploading some content very soon. The Ironman has been popping off recently. I'm not going to give you guys any spoilers, but if you've been over on twitch.tv, you'll see exactly what we've had. Anyway, take care, guys, and I'll see you all very soon.